What's up, ESO community? I'm coming back with another video about my no proc werewolf PvP build for Flames of Ambition. One thing I noticed this patch is that in no proc, people die a lot faster because the damage mitigation nerfs and stuff like that. CP changes. But I do notice it's all about who can kill who first. And this build is the best designed werewolf PvP build I have right now for no proc. However, there might be some future changes to the build if I keep testing out other things, but right now, this is what I got. It's kind of an old build, but I brought it back because of the no proc conditions. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just go over the gear, the champion points. I already have some gameplay from about a day ago, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you what I got. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the first set with weapons, enchantments, and gear, and traits, and food and potions I use. Alright, so for food, I use Bewitched Sugar Skulls and normal Tri-Stat. Potions I've been using is just typical Tri-Potion consumables and movables. I did have the tech pots on here. You might actually need to use that a lot more against stealthy gank blades, stuff like that. But yeah. But if you don't have sugar skulls, just run normal Tri-Stat food. Alright, so the first armor set is Hulking Draugr. It's one of the main sets you can use because it's not a proc set, and it works perfectly for me. If you do not want to use Hulking, you can use Spriggans. They both work. But for me, I like more stamina, so I go Hulking. It's also a sword. Nirnhoned trait. Nirnhoned just increases your damage by 15%. Stuff like that. I'm also using one-handed shield. So I have an Impenetrable trait, Tri-Stat Hakijo. You need to be able to have your crit resistance a lot higher because of the crit resistance nerf. People in no proc are hitting very hard because of the crit modifiers and lower crit resistance. So if your crit resistance is low, expect to be getting hit for 8k, 10ks, 12ks, 13ks, you know, stuff like that. So at least get your crit resistance up. On the back bar, I have a Hulking Draugr two-hander. I just have this here because I can't use Asylum, and I can always switch to this back bar to just kill a normal player in human form, which is actually quite easy now. But yeah, Nirnhoned trait, and then weapon damage enchantment. Monster sets. I have one-piece monster sets because you can't use any proc condition sets and no proc, obviously. So the first set is a Swarmmother's head, Impenetrable trait, and the first two pieces give max stamina and max mag. So this is where your additional sustain will come from. And then you also have Impen for higher crit resistance. Shacklebreaker is the secondary set. It gives you stam recovery, mag recovery, weapon damage and spell damage. And the fifth piece I like is max magicka and max stamina. Very, very, very important to have. Shoulder, a Domahos. I recommend to change this to Impen, but I have reinforced trait right now. But yeah, Impenetrable would be better to have here. But if you can't get that, then just run whatever trait you have until you get transmutes to change it. But the first piece is stamina, and the second piece is magicka. Same thing. I stack this with Swarmmothers, so you just get a bunch of extra max resources. I have a light belt because Undaunted passives still work. I have a light belt to kind of mitigate some of the magic damage. And I also have a medium bracers to give me a little more weapon damage, and also kind of gives me the ability to roll dodge a little more. Stuff like that because of the penalty changes and stuff. But yeah, this is where my Undaunted gives me the most max resources. So, and Impenetrable and Tri-Stat all your body pieces. Shacklebreaker heavy legs, and then Shacklebreaker heavy feet. I make sure I had 5 heavy so I can get all the bonuses from heavy armor, so my heavy attack sustain is better, and my healing is better, and max health. For the jewelry, you can do Triune, but I got Robust right now, and every single one of them are weapon damage to increase my physical damage done to people. You can do Infused, Triune, or Robust, but I recommend having more resources and no proc so you can kind of sustain yourself. So I went with Robust for more utility with my stamina, and it really helps out for fighting other werewolves because basically if you fight another werewolf that has no damage, you'll nuke them. Especially no proc, they don't stand a chance. Not with this build. But like I said, you can do some recovery enchants as well, and you can do Triune. You can do Infused, whatever you want, but I have Robust for now. Alright, so that's basically the gear. I'm going to go over what race I'm using and what class. I am a Stam Sorcerer, which y'all saw from the beginning of the video. I am running Hurricane. It's a typical normal buff. It's a resistance buff and also a speed buff. And it also does like a little small AoE damage. Critical Surge, this basically allows me to crit heal, which you will need this. Dark Deal is another heal that you can synergize with Vigor. And then I have Heroic Slash. It helps me get ultimate faster. And it also puts Maim on them so they will do less damage to you. And then I have the Pack Leader Morph. Back bar. Dizzy Swing, this is my typical spammable. Ball of Lightning to escape ranged players. Carve is just something I gotta put here. It's like a little additional AoE cleave. Executioner, when someone's low, you just use Execute to kill them. And then Rally gives you some healing back and weapon damage buff. On your back bar, you can kind of put any ultimate you want. You can also put Werewolf here if you want to use two-hander instead. However, your resistances are going to be a little bit lower due to the nerf, but other than that, you should be fine. And this patch is all about killing the opponent before they can kill you. Stuff like that. Alright, so for some of the changes here, medium, my current bonus is 2% movement speed. I have a 3% reduction to block. 5% sneak, like that matters, and reduce the cost of spread by 1%. Let's look at the light armor passives here. So I'm basically gonna take 1% less damage from magical attacks, which is not much, and then reduces the movement speed penalty of sneak by 5%, which doesn't matter, and reduce the cost of break free by 5%, which will matter. And the penalties I have is basically increases damage taken from martial attack by 1%. That's going to be negated by my heavy armor, stuff like that. You can kind of put the build together to kind of figure out what you need there. Heavy armor, I got all these passives here. I needed all these. I needed for my healing. I needed for my magicka and stamina restore for heavy attacks. And then I also got mag recovery from the Constitution passive, which is not a whole lot here. And then I have resolve, so I have an extra 1,715 resistance. Alright, for the werewolf abilities, well, hold on, I'll get into this in a second. I need to show you what race I am first. I'm an Imperial. I was an Orc, however both races work. I kind of prefer the Imperial because of here. Reduce the cost of all your abilities by 6%. And it synergizes with the Sorc passive up here, which is Unholy Knowledge. So I have 12% reduction to all of my abilities. And then I also have Power Stone, which basically reduces my ultimate cost by 15%, which then will also synergize with another extra 6% from the Imperial passive. And then I got Mag Recovery, increase physical damage from Energize and Amplitude. Stam Sorcerer is hands down definitely the best class for Werewolf, and it's definitely shown a lot this patch. Now let me go ahead and get into the morphs, because that's something that we need to look at. The Werewolf changes, very, very important. I'm a pack leader, so I take 10% less damage, and that will help mitigate all the magical damage that I take from other players, so I'll be fine. Brutal Pounce, you need this. This increases your damage. All you gotta do is pounce on one target 6 times, or pounce on like 6 guys at once to get the additional 600 weapon damage. Herstein's Fortitude, it is the stronger heal out of the two. And it also gives you recovery, and then when you're at full health, you get 3,000 extra stamina, so it can kind of help out with your sustain there. Deafening Roar, you need this to reduce people's resistance, and then you also got Major Savagery there, and then you also got Maim. The Major Savagery is going to make your crits hit harder, stuff like that. And then you have Howl of Agony. This is your main spammable. It's really important. You'll definitely be using this a lot to burst people down. Then Claws of Anguish is a Thaumaturge ability, disease and a cleave. It's like a physical attack and a dot at the same time. Now the biggest nerf to Werewolf is the Savage Strength. Instead of giving you 10,000 resistances, you just get Major Resolve, where you get physical and spell resistance by 5,948, like I mentioned in a prior video. But yeah, it's not that bad. You're still able to kill people, especially with the additional damage they added and gave you. But yeah, you notice how fast people will go down. I was able to hit 10k crits, 12k crits on people, 9k base, 7k whites, it just depending on their resistance and stuff. But the highest how I was able to hit was a 14k plus, almost 15k. So yeah, especially how lower people's health is, you could definitely take like 2 or 3 chunks from their health in seconds and probably kill them. Alright, so that's basically the werewolf skills. You can use any morph. I recommend don't use Berserker. They're a lot squishier. However, they do got an interesting new effect called Minor Mangle, which basically will nerf somebody's health by a certain percentage when you hit them with a bleed. But yeah, don't use Rage. It's not a PvP morph now. Definitely don't use it right now, how much people are dying, how much more damage people take. But if you don't want to use Deafening Roar, you can definitely use the other one that will increase your heavy attack speed. Claws of Anguish is the better one because you need to defile people, but you don't really need it as much. You can also use Claws of Life if you want to have a more healing. Whatever you want here. That's basically it for the werewolf skills. Not much has changed other than champion points, and werewolf lost a little bit of resistances. But hey, it didn't really matter because if you watch my video, you saw me drop people pretty easily. So alright, so let's go ahead and get into the champion points. Honestly, I'm kind of new to the whole champion point thing. I haven't really looked too much into it, but this is what I got so far. You can change it up to your liking, but this is what I have. Alright, so what we're going to look at is Endless Endurance. This is basically going to increase your max stamina by 1,300 if you put 50 in here. But I want to make something real clear. Up here up top you have these champion bars, so you can only have 4 active slots for each category. So for the red for your defense CP, blue for your offensive CP, and then green for some crafting and some additional like mount speed and stuff like that, and reduce fall damage, which can come to handy, and increase movement speed I think outside of PvP. But anyway, yeah, so let me go ahead and get into what I have so far. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go into Staving Death. I have increased your healing taken by 4% altogether. You need this to kind of increase your healing. I have also reduced the damage you take from martial attacks by 1% per stage. So I'll basically take less physical, poison, and disease and bleed damage by 4% damage reduction. And then the same thing here with magical version. So I take 4% less from magic, flame, frost, and shock damage. And then up here I have bumped up my crit resistance. This is very important. I didn't have this at one point. I noticed I was a little bit squishier, and it really mattered. It really made a difference. So go ahead and put your critical resistance. You need this, and slot that up in your champion bar. That's very important. Alright, so for the extended might, I just have 1400 offensive penetration. Pen really got nerfed, but trust me, it's not even noticeable. So yeah. I have 40 points put into increase your chance to apply a martial status effect by 30% staged in order to access this last one here. Grants 100 weapon and spell damage to martial attack, so this will increase my physical, poison, and disease and bleach damage. So this is pretty much what Mighty was back in the previous champion CP, so I put 30 in there because I definitely needed that. Alright, so let's see. So I also put 40 here to increase my critical chance, so I can get a higher chance to hitting crits. And then I have Wrathful Strikes, which is another active passive that you want to slot up. So I have grants 33 weapon and spell damage to your damaging abilities per stage, so I have a total of 165 weapon damage and spell damage. And then I have Deadly Aim. This will increase my direct single target attacks by up to 10%. This is another passive I have slotted as well. That's pretty much it. Oh, and then I have 40 points into Bless, so I have 4% healing done. Eventually I will have more in here, but I don't have as much CP as I need, but you should be fine without having any into that. But all this is going to do is increase your max mag. Alright, so let's go into the defense CP. This part was a little bit tricky for me. There's so many different good passives that I could use, so mix it up how you want. But, yeah. So I have this one. This increases my recoveries while under effects of crowd control immunity by 40 per stage. So I have a total of 200 health and magic recovery while under the effects of crowd control. And I have Boundless Vitality. This is increasing my max HP. You really need it as a werewolf because your heal scales off of max health right now. And I have reduced the cost of break free. Okay, my bad. Defiance. Reduce the cost of break free per stage, and I have a total of 440 cost reduction, which is needed definitely in heavy armor. And while under the effects of crowd control, you take 2% less damage per stage. So if I get feared, I'll take less damage, or CC or whatever. Reduce the cost of roll dodge by 120 stamina per stage, and I have a total of 360 cost reduction. And then Hero's Vigor, increase my max HP, so my current bonus is 1,120 max health. And then increases your movement speed when sprinting by 2%. I have a total of 8% movement speed. You need this as a werewolf. You got to be able to stay on your target, so that's important. All these little additional things you can kind of mix around and play with if you want these. You kind of get this when you kill somebody, so this might be a little bit better for Xing. I don't know, but I'm not taking that risk right now. I'm just trying different things out. This one I looked here at Survival Instincts looked quite interesting. So if somebody hits you with a status effect, it would reduce the cost reduction of your abilities. However, I didn't do that one yet, but I recommend it though. Okay, when you use Break Free, the cost of your next stamina ability used within 5 seconds is reduced 11 cents per stage. So I have 50% cost reduction here. And then I have grants 3 health, magicka, and stamina recovery per stage. That's another slottable I have. And then Boundless Vitality, which I already said. And then I have Ironclad, but I already removed that. You can kind of put that on there, but I didn't really seem to notice the difference there. But that's pretty much it here. Just basic, just fill up the little passives here. But you can use it how you set up any way you want. But this is what I have so far. But yeah. Alright, so for the green tree, it's not really much passives here, other than reduces your fall damage taken by 7% per stage. So I have 35% reduction damage, so I could probably fall off a tower or something while kiting and be fine. And then I have increases my food duration. I actually slotted that. That's important. Tired of wasting food. This passive here, I don't really understand how it works, but basically when you use a potion or a poison, you have a 10% chance to not consume it. I don't know if you get all your resources back and it doesn't allow you to use your potion, or it just doesn't let you use your potion. You have a 10% chance. I guess it could be a negative effect, but it could also be a positive too. I don't know. I gotta play around more with that in the future. Then I have 50 into this. However, you can't really get this unless you slot them up the top in your passive, so I just have 50 points there. I have reduced the cost of repairing your armor by 1% per stage, 48% cost reduction, so I have that as well. But everything else is just basic crafting things. I do have this. Increase your mount speed by 2% per stage, so my mounts will be faster in Cyrodiil, so yeah. But honestly guys, there really isn't really much in the green CP to really play around with, other than like increase your movement speed and sneak or something like that. Not much here. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for my CP and what I have so far for the no proc build. But I'm going to go ahead and show you my advanced stats. So I don't really have much that I noticed, not much mitigation because everyone's kind of squishy, which I see here. My sprint cost is pretty cheap. My block mitigation 65%, not bad. Sneak speed 72%. I mean, there's not really much here. I tried to mitigate as much as possible, but hey, it's alright. Flat damage 10%, 10%. Frost damage 10%. Magic damage 10%. I think it's just showing you my flat values. Nothing much here. But yeah, so this is basically what my stats look like, kind of unbuffed. Almost 5,000 weapon damage, 61k max stamina, 32k health in PvP and PvE because they took away that healing battle spirit passive. Almost 25k magicka. Yeah, really good. I also have a little bit more heavy armor version where I have about 25k physical and spell, but it's not even that noticeable. So yeah, my Mundus stone is the tower for increased max stamina. It just seems to perform better for me, but you can run whatever Mundus you want. And this is an Imperial Sorc Werewolf. This is my non-proc PvP build. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy it. Peace.